Lofgren, live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I have lived here for a very long time. But before that, I was raised on a subsistence dairy farm, and it had 20 cows, which is just enough for a family to live on, but not enough to buy any liquor with. So our New Year's Eves were pretty quiet affairs. We'd all go to bed at 10 o'clock because we had to get up in the morning to milk the cows. Well, I was 18, and this was in 1954. I left the farm to go to the University of Minnesota. And my cousin, Marina, had some connections and got me a job in a restaurant. The restaurant had been around for a long time. It was called the Rainbow Cafe, and it was at Hennepin and Lake in Minneapolis. And it now houses a restaurant named Chino Latino that I've never been to because I don't want to ruin my memories of the old place. Well, it was owned by the Laguerres brothers, three of them who had come from Greece sometime in the early part of the 20th century, and made a success in America. The two brothers, John and Chris, owned the restaurant, while their brother, the head chef, Harry, owned the building it was in. Now, Harry was a very upright bachelor-type person. He had a little mustache, and he always wore a tall toque. But his main job, aside from making the same recipes every day, because they never changed the menu, was to keep order in the kitchen. And that was hard to do, especially when it got busy, because the waitresses were all screaming. Some of them would steal each other's orders when they were set up. And there was a lot of rancor going on. Now, I wasn't used to rancor because I was raised in a Scandinavian family where if you got mad at somebody, you just quit talking. You didn't yell. So this was a new experience for me. I was a busboy because I had just started, and I put in maybe about 30 hours a week bussing dishes and sometimes washing them and doing other odd jobs. But when New Year's Eve came, they wanted me to work long hours, which seemed to me like a good idea. I was getting paid extra. So I showed up at New Year's Eve, and they didn't sell liquor in this restaurant because it was too close to a school, but they did have a lot of customers who had been drinking somewhere else, because as the evening wore on, the customers got louder and louder, and so of course the waitresses got louder and louder, and a couple of the cooks, it turned out, had been drinking secretly. The two cooks that had been secretly drinking were Big Mike, the broiler cook who did the steaks, and Wong, who was a Chinese immigrant, had been there forever, who did the Chinese food, which back then was chow mein and chop suey. Well, the two of them started insulting each other, and this was, maybe 11 o'clock at night. So Wong picked up his cleaver and came after Big Mike, yelling, "You sonny bitch, I kill you dead." And Big Mike took his French knife, and they were about to murder each other, when Harry, the chef, got between them, excuse me, which to me was a bravery that I'd never seen before. He got between them and kept them apart and calmed them all down, as if that was something he'd do every day. And everybody went back to work as if nothing had happened. The steaks didn't even get burned. So I got upset by that naturally. And just when I was starting to calm down from that, the owner came in looking around, and he saw me and he said, "Go get a mop. Somebody threw up all over the women's restroom." So I got hot water and a mop. And as the New Year came in, the New Year of 1955, I was in the women's restroom mopping up a tremendous mess. And I've always had a kind of a weak stomach, so that didn't help any. While I was doing this, everybody outside was yelling Happy New Year and blowing on noisemakers, and I kept mopping. So I got off work about 2 o'clock, but I didn't really get to bed till 3 o'clock because I spent the next hour washing my hands.